Hello and welcome to the Sudamerican Master 2. I'm Annie, aka Android, and it looks like in this game we're going to have EGamerX up against Zona Gaming, and it looks like it's going to be a really exciting matchup. EGamerX did have the first ban and the first pick. They chose to ban out the Huskar-IO combination, which I think has been really strong with this patch. Just able to get really out of control. IO able to relocate Huskar all around the map and get a lot of pickoffs, so definitely a good thing to ban out, as EGamerX just don't want to deal with that on the other team. On the flip side, the Dire do choose to ban out Gyrocopter and Puck, so they're a little bit worried of that really quick movement, that really quick burst damage. As far as picks go, Radiant do first pick Vengeful Spirit, which I think is a great pick. It's a really, really versatile hero, able to stun, offer armor reduction. Swap is just an all-around really useful skill, and it can be used in a lot of different lineups, more teamfight-oriented lineups, more pick-off-oriented, so she's just really versatile. It isn't giving away a lot about the draft. On the side of Zona Gaming, they do decide to go with an Undying and Queen of Pain as their first two pickups, and I think Undying will do really, really well if he's put in a solo lane. Queen of Pain can obviously solo lane, or go in a safe lane, or even mid. I've seen some really successful Queen of Pains mid, and that's probably where she'll end up in this lineup, just going on Undying being picked as most likely the off-lane carry. And Lena's going to be a pickup for EGamerX that could be a secondary support or even perhaps a mid. Lena is once again one of those really versatile heroes, along with Vengeful Spirit, that can be put in pretty much any position 1 through 5. So another ban will be coming out from EGamerX very, very shortly, hopefully as soon as they decide to dig into their reserve time or not. I think EGamerX might be just going for a really all-around versatile lineup, able to deal with a lot of the stuff the Dire are going to be throwing at them, whether it's more team fight, more pick-off, more roaming-oriented. So they do dip into the reserve time for this ban 3, and I'm guessing they're going to want to ban out instantaneous damage dealers, yes, such as the Zeus. I think that's a smart ban. With Vengeful Spirit and Lena being relatively squishy, especially at the early levels, they don't want a Zeus to come in, ult, and pick off 2 of their fine ladies. On the side of Zona Gaming, it looks like it is going to be their third ban coming out. They have a little bit of time to figure that one out before they dip into their reserve time. I think Queen of Pain is just a really smart pick in this meta. She scales really well with all the new mana items that are coming out, and I think she's just, once again, one of those all-around good heroes. She has a Blink, which is a really nice escape. She has a lot of nuke, she has a lot of harass, and she can definitely hold her own in lane against pretty much everyone. Axe coming out as a ban for Zona Gaming, which is a hero that we do see a lot, maybe not quite as much in 6.84 as we did in 6.83, but also still a big power player, able to get that really early game aggression and do a lot of work there. Broodmother is going to be a ban from EGamerX. I would have liked to see a Broodmother in this game, but she is going to get banned out, and I think EGamerX just don't want to deal with a lot of rat. They don't want to have to constantly get back out of their teamfight lineups and, you know, pick off the spiderlings or force the brood back. And I think Zona Gaming probably appreciates that, because it is a very different style of Dota to constantly have to go back into your lanes and push them back out. And even the team with the Broodmother is almost like a 4v5, so it looks like both teams might be drafting more of a, you know, a 5-man snowball lineup if they do want to eliminate the Broodmother. Bristleback is banned out from the Dire, and I think that's very smart. He's able to scale very, very quickly and do a lot of damage, especially with the new Octarine core. He can heal up for pretty much all the damage he takes with his quills, so you kind of have an immortal little guy on your hands if you have a really farmed Bristleback, and that's really not something fun to play up against. So on this third pick, I'm expecting them to either pick up a secondary support or maybe their safe lane carry. I don't know how much about their lineup they want to give away. I also don't know how familiar these teams are with each other. That's another thing I just don't know. This is my first time casting the Sudamerican Master 2, and I'm really, really excited about it, but I don't have a lot of background on the teams. I do know that EGamerX is Chilean, and Zona Gaming is from Peru, so we definitely got a good old South American matchup going on. Lycan going to be the third pick for Zona Gaming, and I think that's just going to reveal a little bit about their draft. Lycan does best when he has either safe lane or jungle farm really steadily for the first 20 or so minutes of the game to get himself big, and it looks like they might be trying to postpone fights until they can get their heroes big, or maybe just let Queen of Pain handle them. Similar to how you'd play an anti-mage in a very teamfight-oriented lineup, you kind of leave the Lycan or the Anti-Mage on their own to get the items they need and get the levels they need, and then you bring them in and slaughter the entire team. So it looks like a Radiant pick 3 is going to be coming out. They're going to dip into their reserve time, as EGamerX are definitely talking over the strategy and are going to react to this Lycan. Troll Warlord, alright. A rare pick for 6.84, but I think definitely still viable, especially with the mana buffs and the more sustainable mana. It looks like Zona Gaming still do need a secondary support, unless they're planning to put... well, yeah, they definitely need a secondary support, because I don't think Queen of Pain or Lycan are viable as position 3 or 4s. So I think, once again, Zona's strategy is going to have to be to, let the Queen of Pain handle the early aggression, possibly get the early kills, have Dying just really hold his own in the offlane, most likely, and have Lycan just get really, really big and really, really farmed. And if he gets a couple kills in the early game, that's great, but he needs to focus on getting items so that he can be really productive in the late game. And as far as EGamerX goes, Troll is... he also does very well with farm, but early kills on him are still really, really valuable. I think they could put him in a pretty aggressive safe lane, perhaps even a safe lane try. The Vengeful Lina and the Troll Warlord work really well together, with Vengeful having that reliable stun, easily cascading into Lina W, and Troll Warlord then just dishing out the damage with his whirling axes, with his right clicks, and getting some kills down. So it looks like Dire are going to be going in on pick number 4. They have dipped into their reserve time. Oh, excuse me, I have to sneeze. Sorry about that. Alright, and Zona Gaming are taking their time with this, reacting to the Troll Warlord pick and trying to figure out, how best to counter their lineup. And I don't think EGamerX have really revealed a lot of where everything's going to play and who's going to be doing what, because once again, Lina, I'm assuming she's going to play more of a support role in that tri-lane, but she could easily mid, she could easily carry. It's just all up to how they want to play her. Lion is picked up from Zona Gaming, which, once again, one of those really well-balanced, all-around supports. Reliable stun, reliable nuke, mana sustain for days, and a hex, which is really, really valuable, so you don't have to build up a sheepstick. So I think Lion's definitely a really good support in almost any lineup, and it looks like Zona Gaming are going to go with, more of a just hold your own lane and wait till everyone gets big lineup, versus EGamerX that have a little bit more aggression on their side at the moment. So it looks like EGamerX are also dipping into their reserve time for pick number 4. They're not sure either how much they want to give away with their lineup or what direction they'd like to go. But I think this next pick will give me more of an insight into how they're planning to lane this. If they want to pick another support up, Lina will most likely be in more of a mid or carry role. If they're going to pick up a very noticeable hard carry, then I think Lina will play more of that position 3 roaming support lineup. So neither team wants to give away a whole lot about what they're doing, and I think that's very smart. Alright, Sand King is picked up, so he will most likely be in the jungle, hopping into the safe lane every once in a while to help out, but he can also be very viable in the off lane on his own. He can hold his own pretty well, especially with the Sandstorm if anything goes wrong, and the Burrow Strike to escape pretty quickly. So, lanes could go many different ways. It looks like both teams could either pick a mid or could let an existing hero mid. Queen of Pain is definitely comfortable in the mid lane, and Lina can be. She does have that really good range and that really good harass with her Dragon Slave if she maxes it up early, and the levels on her work out really well, getting her Laguna Blade as early as possible. But they might also want to pick something more traditional for a mid, such as, a Storm Spirit or, I don't know, maybe a Shadow Fiend would be good on their lineup, just dishing out a lot of damage. It looks like Spirit Breaker is the last ban against EGamerX, and I think that's solid, as well as TA. TA is a ban that I think they're worried about her picking for mid, because she is such a really strong mid hero, especially if she were to go against a Queen of Pain. She does really well in the early levels, and it's really hard to get harass on her. Even someone as spammy as Queen of Pain can't bring her down easily with that refraction up if it's maxed early. So I think they wanted to eliminate the possibility of that and just make sure TA is not going to get picked. So it looks like final pick coming out for Zona Gaming is going to be coming out fairly shortly. They are dipping into the very last of their reserve time. And I wouldn't be surprised to see someone very damage heavy, such as a Shadow Fiend or You know, one of those kind of heroes that can really just do a lot of damage in a short amount of time. And Viper, keeping with that trend, definitely very right-click heavy, does very well with items, but isn't super reliant on them if he has a slow time in lane, so can definitely come back, do a lot of damage, and gonna be really good in team fights. Timbersaw as the last pick for EGamerX. I would not have picked that up if you gave me a dozen choices. That's just something I don't usually see. So it looks like Timbersaw will most likely be taking the off lane. Sand King might hop into the jungle, Lina mid, and maybe a duo of Troll Warlord and Vengeful Spirit, which I think will be incredibly strong if they get it off right. And on the side of Zona Gaming, perhaps either the Queen of Pain or Viper mid, both are viable. Lycan will probably be staying in the jungle, Undying solo off, and Lion will be supporting either Viper or Queen of Pain. I'm going to guess Viper in the safe lane. Those are all just my predictions, and I'm not 100% sure as I don't know these two teams' playstyles, but that seems like a fairly safe choice. Alright. On the side of the Radiant, it is going to be Pain on the Troll Warlord, Ahi on the Vengeful Spirit, Guayo on the Sand King, Cookies on the Lina, who looks like she is going mid, and Wop on the Timbersaw that's going to be going in the solo offlane. On the side of the Dire, we have Jarv on the Queen of Pain. We have Zero Kun N on the, looks like, mid Viper. Looks like we have Masara on the Undying. And up top we're going to have Rapido on the Lion. Sitting in base we still have Fex sitting on the Lion, or sorry, the Lycan. So it looks like an early Wolf from the Lycan is just going to be scouting out, seeing what's up there. Does get, I believe, one last hit onto Wop, and he's going to take that kind of like a champ. I'm having a little bit of trouble clicking on things. It's not quite showing up in my HUD, but that's okay. So I'm not quite sure why I'm having trouble selecting things. They're not showing up in my HUD for me. There we go. Alright, that's a little bit better. I do have to select them manually rather than just clicking on them. Alright, looks like Viper is going to be playing this top rune pretty aggressively. He is going to get it all to himself as there is no Radiant contest. And on bottom, Troll Warlord does grab the free rune, so one rune to each team. It's not going to be a huge disadvantage either way. There are both Radiant and Dire wards on this rune spot right here, so neither team has a sentry up, so they don't know the other has vision, but it is something worth noting. In the mid matchup, it is going to be Zero Kun N up against a mid Lina, so Cookie's trying to use her range to zone out Zero Kun N as much as she can. She is going to level up her stun first, which I think is pretty good, as the Viper is able to do a lot of damage in a good amount of time, but he is pretty squishy, sitting on under 700 HP. Down bottom, it looks like Vengeful Spirit will be supporting this tri-lane of Guayo and Pain, and looks like Pain is going to start out with some very farming-heavy items, as he does pick up both a Quelling Blade and a Stout Shield. Vengeful Spirit's going to be getting off these pulls nice and early, and that'll help out her team a lot if they do need the extra farm. Up top it is Wop 1v1ing this Lion over here, and Rapido's going to get away with just a little bit of his life. It looks like there is a Timber Chain up and ready to go if Wop wants to reinitiate onto Rapido. Rapido does have a stun up in 3 seconds, so it might be a little bit risky to go in on that. So Lycan is definitely going to be the safe lane farmer. He also has a Stout Shield and a Quelling Blade, so definitely looking to have his farm up really nice and high at the beginning of the game. A little extra damage block from that Stout Shield, and a lot of help blast hitting with that Quelling Blade. And it looks like Jarv and Masara are going to be fighting it out in this small camp right here. As Guayo comes in, Ahi's going to take a dagger from the Queen of Pain, and is going to get decayed by Masaru, and it looks like he will go down. So Ahi is going to be the first blood, and Masara is going to draw that for the Dire team, so really good job on him. He's going to have some extra gold to pick up whatever he'd like. He does have almost 800 in the bank at this point. Jarv is sitting around very heavy regen items. I would have expected more of the null talisman built as opposed to just branches. I think that just helps Queen of Pain out a little bit in the beginning, getting her intelligence multiplier up a little bit. She does have Blink leveled if she wants to get out of Guayo's way. Pain is doing pretty well on his farm. He does have 6 last hits. In terms of the big last hit leader, it is Viper sitting in mid lane who has 12 last hits to his name. Lena's getting pinged out. She does manage to get back under tower and is going to be safe from any further harass from that lane. Looks like up top Wop is doing a great job holding his own against Rapido, who's been trying to be as harassy as possible, but he's only sitting on brown boots, whereas Wop is just getting a lot more out of the lane. He's already almost level 4 and has had solo XP the whole time. Pain is getting pretty low. I didn't quite see what got him there, but he does have a shared tango as well as one of his own, so the regen's going to be pretty nice on him. Vengeful Spirit is pretty poor, sitting on only boots and a clarity. I'm surprised that was her starting items. I would have thought she would pick up something, maybe like a mango that does have that really nice HP regeneration, as well as the emergency mana if she needs it. We are going to have a pause here as Undying does disconnect from the game. He is getting pinged out in this side shop area right here. And Zirakun's going to be just sitting really nicely in mid. Undying is going to reconnect, so the game should resume pretty soon. Up top, Rapido's just been really sitting in this side channel of the lane, trying to do what he can to right-click Wop and get his Qs off. His stuns have been really, really great so far. They've been hitting them like a charm. But, I mean, that Earth Spike can only do so much. Timbersaw's going to come back from that Earth Spike and be able to Timber Chain back in, and Lion really doesn't have any protection against that. Down bottom, Master is going to get pinged out by the Radiant team, and are they going to try to go in on this? I think they're going to let him, get back to his tower and get resituated before they think about initiating on him. Up top, Wop is really, really deep into this dire territory. I don't know if he's feeling comfortable going up against this Lion. I mean, sorry, Lycan. Lycan does only have about 660 HP, but he's able to do a lot of damage as he does hit for almost 100 at this point in the game. Timbersaw is going to go in, trade some last hits with Vex, but Vex will be just fine. He does have a tango on himself, and he's going to regen up pretty nicely. Looks like there is just a battle of the last hits going on, and nothing really big is going to come out of that. Master is going to go towards this rune, and Queen of Pain will blink in and grab the double damage for herself, and that's going to do really well. She'll be able to open it for her bottle nice and easy. Zirakun, he is going to sit on no bottle yet. I don't know if he's going to build a bottle eventually or just rush into his first big item, but he does have a Wraith Band, which is going to be very nice for him, getting those early stats. Up top we do have Wop, still continuing to push up really far in lane. I don't know if that's really smart with Rapido right there. He could pop an Earth Spike, and Lycan could get some really serious damage on him before there's really much he could do. And it looks like Lion is just going to be content trading right clicks, and it looks like Wop is going to be trying to go in on Rapido. That's the funniest looking frog I've ever seen. Really nice Timber Chain getting him exactly where he needs to be, but Wop is going to take a Earth Spike to the face and decide to just take a tango and back out. And I think that's the smart way to handle the engagement. Down bottom, Ahi's been doing a great job trying to get these rotations and not take up too much lane experience. He has been stacking camps pretty well. Radiant's Courier does go down. I didn't quite catch where that happened. It looks like it was going to bring someone their goodies and gets caught out along the way. Mid lane, Zirakun does pick up a Buckler, so he's definitely going that early mech build for Viper, which I think is fantastic. I think it's really strong. It gives him the HP pool that he wouldn't necessarily have, and the mana regen as well. So he can spam that Q and spam his ults and just get a lot of damage out. Even though, he's not really a mana-dependent hero, it's really nice to have that extra regeneration aura around him. Guayo is hopping out of the jungle here. He doesn't have a lot of items. He does have 1100 gold to his name, so I think he's going to go early Blink before he's going to pick up Boots or any other heavy regen. Looks like there is going to be a Queen of Pain initiation onto Pain as he's going to go in, drop a Tombstone, but I think the damage might just be too much. And Troll's going to be trying to get out of there, and he will not succeed. He will go down to the Undying, and it looks like that Tombstone was very well placed by the Dire team, able to really zone out the Radiant heroes and force them completely back from the tower. And I think this could be an early tower in the Dire's favor.
Radiant structures are fortified.
Up top, it looks like Lycan is going to be in his ultimate form trying to chase after Wop. Wop does not have really anything to get out of this. His Timber Chain is down for another 3 seconds, and it looks like he's going to try to run away as fast as he can. Pain doing a beautiful rotation to get up there and defend his friend, as Wop is going to be just fine. He's going to be able to walk back to base. I thought for sure he was going to be dead there. Wonderful TP by the Troll Warlord. Jarvan's going to be popping a salve just to keep himself up a little bit. He does take a hit by the creep, which is going to cancel it before it's fully healed up, but he does bottle sip himself back up with still 2 bottle sips left, and I think that'll be plenty to take down this tower. Queen of Pain going in for the last hit, but is going to miss. I think a ranged creep got that one instead. So now the Dire have a huge amount of control, especially with these two wards in the lane. I think they just have a really, really great control of this Radiant jungle, and there's really not a whole lot that Radiant have been able to do about it. Guayo's sitting here definitely farming up his Blink because he doesn't pick up any boots or any other items. I think he's waiting for that 2150 gold. And it looks like Undying is pinging out the mid lane. He does want to initiate something here, but I don't know if that's a real smart position. I mean, they're ahead for the time being. The kill score is 0-2, but I don't know if they have enough of an advantage to push Radiant high ground just yet. And it looks like Zirakun's just going to keep farming up. He does now have a completed mech, which is very, very good for him. I think that's great timing considering all he's been through, along with a Wraith Band and some brown boots. So he's been getting a lot out of this lane. Lina only sitting at a null talisman and some brown boots, so she's been having a little bit of a harder time. She is going to pick up some regen on the courier to help her out a little bit. Vex is doing a great job. He does have that Medallion of Courage, so it looks like we're probably going to be going to see an early-ish Roche in this game. Queen of Pain has a haste rune bottled up if she needs to get anywhere super, super speedy. She also has her Blink ready to go, and her mana pool is not too bad. I mean, it is still her base mana pool, but she's keeping herself high. She's not spamming Dagger a lot. She's not spamming her Scream of Pain a lot, so she does have a lot of that usable mana when she needs to. She has that ult up. She's not struggling for regen right now. And it looks like Rapido is going to be using his Earth Spike just to harass these creeps, and I mean, WoP just doesn't want this tower to go down, but I don't know how much of a say he has. He does get Marisol really, really low, and it looks like he will end up living because the tower does de-aggro. WoP now dealing with the wrath of the zombies as the Tombstone is right under tower, doing a great job zoning him out. Down bottom, Pain is going to be trading hits with Jarv. I mean, I don't think Pain really cares. He's trying to get his last hits. He doesn't care what else is going on, but I think he might end up paying for that as Queen of Pain does finish him off with her E. Zirakun is trying his best just to keep this lane in check, and he's doing a really good job sitting at second amount of last hits and denies, and in terms of net worth, he's right at the top. He's been getting a lot out of this lane. He does now have a completed Aquila, so that's what that Wraith Band was building into, and I think that's going to give him a lot of lane sustain, and when he wants to turn it on, he can push that tower very easily. I don't think the Lina's going to be able to stand up to him that much. She is picking up a Void Stone, so I'm going to guess that's going into a Yule Scepter, which is a very vital item on Lina, as she does need that timing so she can set up her stun and set up her blade and even just escape when she needs to. Down bottom, Jarv is getting free farm and not making the most use of it, only 33 last hits at 10 minutes in the game, so it's not terrible, but I think because of the roaming nature of the Queen of Pain, she's been missing out on a little bit of last hits. Guayo is going to get hexed up and earth spiked by the Lion, but I don't know if they have the damage to bring him down. Marasu is doing everything he can. Guayo is going to sandstorm away just to get that temporary invisibility before he reaches the trees, and should be able to get okay. Lycan Wolves are doing a pretty good job zoning out WoP, but he's doing okay. He's holding the lane very, very well against a very aggressive dual lane, so I think he's been doing his part for the team. The net worth chart may not reflect that, but I think if he had been, less skilled or less determined or left the lane, I think top lane would be doing a lot better than it is now. There is going to be a 4-man rotation onto this mid-Radiant tower, and I think that will end up going down relatively soon. Troll ult is popped, but that is just to get the Tombstone down on the side of the Radiant. Undying's been doing a really, really great job putting down those Tombstones and making sure that it's zoning out all the Radiant heroes that they need to. Undying himself doesn't have all the farm in the world. He is going to be more of a support position, picking up those Observer Wards and picking up those mana boots for himself. So he's definitely going to be helping his team out more as a secondary support for this Lion. And Queen of Pain going to be once again cashing out on the free farm bottom, and bottom lane's going to be pushing in pretty far, so it looks like Dire have an early advantage. In terms of XP, it is in Zona Gaming's favor by about 2,000 net XP, so the levels are a little bit better. Queen of Pain has been doing her farming, and she's up at level 8, which is really, really nice, and Lion, that key support, does not yet have his ult, so he needs to stand a little bit closer to the creep wave to get that very valuable XP. Up top, Lycan's going to be caught out by the Lina, and an ult will try to finish him off, but it is going to take one more right click after that to fully get the kill. She's going to TP back to base and heal up just fine. Troll ult's coming down just to take down this tombstone. Marasu's doing an amazing job putting those tombstones where they need to distract the Radiant and allow themselves to get that tower push that they need. And Zirakun's been allowed to stay mid and farm this whole time, and he has another 600 gold in the bank on top of these amazing items at only 12 minutes in the game. I think that's setting up for a very, very scary Viper towards the mid and late game. Marasu coming in, and he's going to help out his team, and it looks like they will be able to get this tower as one more right click from Zirakun will take it down. Guayo going into this jungle camp and is going to take it down. His Sandstorm's only level 2, whereas his Burrow Strike is level 4, so I'm not quite sure about the cohesion of that. It seems like if he wanted to use his Sandstorm in the jungle a lot more, he would have rather leveled that up. Jarvan's going to be trying to do the damage he can. He is double damaged up from a double damage rune, but not going to waste the ult on that, and I think that's a smart decision. Going to wait till a time where Jarvan knows he can get kills off of that. And it looks like Radiant are struggling a little bit. In terms of gold, they're down over 5,000 gold at only 12 minutes in the game, which is... that's a pretty huge lead. That's like a really nice full item on a carry. And, I mean, you just don't want to play a game where the other team's carry has a completed item and, you know, you're still sitting with no Blink Dagger if you're, if you're a Sand King. Sand King is pretty close to his Blink Dagger. He needs only about 100 more gold. Rapido getting caught out in the woods, blocked in by the creeps. TP is cancelled by the Lina stun, and it looks like a right click from Cookies will get him down. So really good job from the Lina reacting to that stuck Lion and getting the stun off that she needed to. Down bottom, Wop is getting that nice push off. He does have no real big items yet, and he looks like he's probably trying to build into a Bloodstone. I think that's a smart build. Just get that really big sustainable mana pool and that, lane sustain, able to stay in there as long as he needs to really get the kills. And up top, the tower is going to be taking some heavy harass from Zirakun and Fex, and it looks like it will end up going down. Lycan does channel his ultimate form, and easy kill for the Lycan. Lycan's doing really, really well on his farm. He does have a completed Vladimir's in his bank, so whenever he wants to get that delivered to himself, he'll be ready to take Roche. He has a completed Medallion of Courage, and I think a Roche would be a very smart move for the Dire just to keep their advantage that they have so early in the game. Down bottom, Wop is going to be trying to go on Masaru, but it looks like he will just TP back to base and regen up just a little bit, maybe reset, get his head together, and try to figure out the best way to cohesively push and end the game as soon as possible, because I think even just in terms of draft, Zona Gaming are at such an advantage here. They have really strong early game pickoff potential with the Queen of Pain, the Timbersaw, the Viper, and the Lion lockdown. But then if the game goes late, Lycan scales so well into this late game. Not quite as strong as in 6.83, but he does still have, those really big items, and he's had such an easy start to the game that I think he's just going to be pretty much unstoppable if this game goes past, 40, 50 minutes. Jarvan's going to be trying to zone out Wop, as Wop doesn't really know that there's much Roche going on. Radiant are kind of grouping up, but they're not really sure what to make of it. Are they going to initiate on the Roche pit? It looks like they might be trying to head in that direction. They are smoked up. Are they thinking of taking it themselves? Looks like they are going to spot out the tombstone. All their dust is going to be, or the smoke is going to be popped, rather. And Troll ult coming out just to take down that tombstone once again. Earth Spike is off the mark from that Lion, and it looks like the free Roche is going to end up going to Lycan unless Radiant make a move very, very soon. But just because of the nature of Dire's positioning, they're going to make kind of a semicircle and block out all the Radiant heroes. So I think really good job on the Dire, knowing that the Lycan needs his room to take the Roche and doesn't really have a whole lot of time. Queen of Pain is going to use her ult, but it will not be enough to pick off anyone. It will get plenty of people low, but is not enough to fully take anyone down. Her right click's going to be able to do that, though. She does get a triple kill, and funny little animation there. Lion hexed up Sand King as he was ulting, so it was a little frog bouncing around and causing a lot of earth waves in the ground. Viper does now have the components of his Aghanim Scepter. He's going to need about 2,000 more gold to finish that up completely, and that's going to help him out a lot with his Viper Strike. It's going to make it that much more deadly, it's going to slow a little more, it's going to hurt a little more, and honestly I think Dire are just running away with this game. In terms of net worth, they're almost 10,000 advantage in terms of Zona Gaming, and I think that's at such an early time in the game. I don't know if Radiant has the lineup to be able to recover from that. I think Troll's a good recovery hero, but everyone else in the team really needs that room to farm and that room to get back in and that room to get items, and I don't think they have that this game. From minute 1, Dire's had complete control of this Radiant jungle. Down bottom, Sand King is sandstorming up just to maybe get what little farm he can. He does finally have his Blink Dagger, and that's going to help him out a lot, but at such a late time in the game and with no other armor, with no other items in his bank, he's really not going to have the damage he needs to do a lot. And Timbersaw does have a soul ring now, so definitely going into that bloodstone. That's going to help him out a lot. Queen of Pain is going to toss out a dagger onto him. He's going to Timber Chain away, and he'll get out just fine. But he is getting zoned out so hard, he can't go anywhere to get experience. He's having such a hard game, whereas Lycan is just left to free farm. He has an Aegis in his bank, he has a completed Vlad's, completed Treads, and a Medallion, as well as a Necro book, so he's definitely going for the Petting Zoo build with his level 4 wolves and these Necronomicon units coming out. Undying in complete control of this Radiant jungle once again. Wards are up everywhere, and they're able to see exactly what's going on, as well as just completely control what farm everyone gets. Sand King's been pretty much limited to this one tiny camp down at bottom for the whole game. He's had such a hard time getting the space he needs to farm up. Troll's going to be taking these Ancients, and we'll get them without contest, but Undying's going to go ahead and grab a Bounty Rune. Ahi on the Vengeful Spirit has been having a pretty tough time getting the farm she needs, doesn't even have completed Tranquils at almost 20 minutes of the game. She's been buying out a lot of wards, she's been buying out all the smokes that the teams have been using. While we're paused here, I'm going to go ahead and enable open mic because I haven't been broadcasting in-game. I'll be back in 1 second. And there we go, that's much better. Apologies to anyone, if anyone's listening in client. I did not realize I had that turned off until now. So in terms of, just net XP is going to be pretty heavily in Zona Gaming's favor at about 7,500, which is nothing to sneeze at. That's a lot of XP. That's a good couple of levels on each hero. In terms of hero levels, where's that at? There we go. It looks like Viper is in the lead, as well as the Lycan, and those are the two big guys that you don't want getting big. You don't want them getting a ton of farm or levels, and that's exactly what EGX has been letting them do. Lina and Troll are then second up on the level chart, but I think a Lina with levels is much less intimidating than a really farmed Lycan with levels. I'd rather take on a Lina in a fight, honestly. Rapido is going to be draining mana from these creeps and just farming them up a little bit. He does have another smoke in the bank, so it looks like a lot of smokes coming out on the side of EGX. That's how they're going to be using their Initiate. And Troll is going to be running into this Lion, but will not actually take him on, is instead going to take the camp that Lion was working on, so almost as painful for the Lion losing that. And it looks like Timbersaw is going to be trying to take back his jungle, and he's going to farm up that small camp right there, and then go ahead and hit the lane, Timber Chain through a couple creeps, and pop the Chakram out. Undying is going to be rotating in onto this Lina. I don't know if he's going to be going in for the kill or what, but definitely trying to just gain back some map control and not let the Lina have free farm. And I think that's a big common theme in this game, is Dire have just been doing such a good job at forcing back the Radiant team and not giving them the space they need to get the levels and the items they need, and that's how they're staying in control. Down bottom, Wap might be trying to look to initiate on Rapido, and it looks like he will be going down. Lion was a bit out of position there without a whole lot of vision of the Radiant team, so it looks like he is going to get punished for that one mistake, and the Radiant team aren't out of this yet, but that was one pick off on a Lion. They really need the big cores. They need that Queen of Pain, Lycan, and the Viper to go down before they're going to feel safe pushing to the other side of the map. Viper does now have a completed Aghanim Scepter, which is very, very scary in terms of what that's going to do for him. It's going to decrease mana cost, so he's not as mana reliant, and it's also just going to make the cooldown 0, or pretty much 0, so he's just able to spam that on everyone in a big team fight. I think Pain might be in a little bit of trouble, as Undying is able to zone him back, although the Lycan is going to be coming around on the backside. He does have an invisibility rune going for him, and it looks like a swap coming out for the Vengeful Spirit. Might be getting Masaru, and it looks like he will go down. Lina is going to be using up this Lycan, and he is going to get stunned up by the Lina. Lina trying to Shadow Amulet himself out, but she will go down to the Lycan. So Lina going down on the side of the Radiant, whereas Zona Gaming do lose their Undying on the back lines of that fight, but I think the Undying is less of a loss to the entire team's productivity than the Lina. I think the Lina needs to be farming and pushing her lanes to keep herself productive, whereas the Undying can come back and really get that missed experience back in only a couple of seconds. Guaro now does have mana boots, so that's going to help him out a lot with his sustain, but he still does feel really behind for 21 minutes in the game. He is only level 11, so does have that level 2 ult now, which is pretty important. He does now pick up this helmet thing, and I think he's going to be going into a Veil, and that's going to be a really smart pick to make his magic damage do more, and just do more for his team. Vex is now going to be taking on these Ancients, and it is only one little guy left. Lina, interestingly enough, is going to be picking up a Shadow Blade for this game. Not quite what I expected from her. I thought she'd be going something a little more utility, such as a Sheepstick, but I think that's going to really help her out, especially with her escape. Completed Bloodstone for the Timbersaw now, and that's really important. I think that's going to give him a chance of staying in these fights and doing the damage and having the mana that he needs to really take these fights convincingly. There hasn't been a whole lot of push for a long time. It looks like Lycan is going to be grabbing this double damage rune and bottling it up for later. He does have now Wolves at his side, as well as a Necro 3, so he's been doing a good job of farming and doing what he needs to do to make himself really, really scary going into this late game. Down middle, it looks like Zero-kun and Masaru are going to be picking off all the creeps pushing onto their side of the river, just getting that farm that they need to get. Undying picking up a gem. Is he going to be going in? Is that just for the Sand King? Although Lina does now have a Shadow Blade, so that might help out as well. And it looks like Lycan is just absolutely charging in. That boy is moving fast. I would like to see him use the double damage in his bottle. But, I mean, I think he would be able to definitely get the kill without the double damage, as he did. Might have just made it that much easier, made it one hit sooner if he had that double damage on him. He might be waiting to use that on the tower, or perhaps even the next Roche, which will be up. It still has a long respawn timer, about 5 minutes left on that. Alright, looks like Rapido is going to be focusing. He does have a Blink now, as well as Tranquils, but no other progress on big items. He does pick up a Smoke that might help his team escape, or initiate on a Roche attempt if they want to go in for that at the end. And it looks like Troll's trying to do a little bit of split push here, as he is going to use his ult, and he might be getting this mid tower down, but it looks like he will back off as the Fortify is popped and as Lycan TP's in. Lycan's just such a scary force to have to push against, and I think Troll made the right call there. And it looks like 3 Radiant heroes are going to be pushing up. They're going to find 3 Dire heroes, though, and those are the 3 you don't want to find. I think they should do best to just kind of get back, and I think, man, I really don't know how EGX are going to get back in this game. Zona have been doing such a good job zoning them and keeping them back, and just making it really difficult for them to get the room that they need to be productive. They're just not being productive at this point. Alright, Sand King is going to disconnect. He'll be back in a little bit, and it looks like Viper is pinging out a Smoke. He does have one on his, he does drop it in the woods, actually, and he is going to try to have everyone maybe smoke up and move into the Radiant Jungle. There's going to be some drawings on the map. In terms of, you know, net XP at 24 minutes in the game, it's just it keeps going more and more heavily into Zona Gaming's favor. This team is, they just have a lot of control over the game at this point, and I think in order for the Radiant to come back in it, EGX just needs to get the pickoffs on the 3 biggest cores for them, which are the Queen of Pain, the Lycan, and the Viper, but that's going to be so difficult as they don't have a lot of reliable lockdown. They have the Vengeful Spirit stun, but other than that, they have to count on Lina hitting her stun, and they have to just count on the Epicenter doing the damage it needs to do. Looks like Sand King is going to be back, and the Radiant are going to be rotating up into this top part of their jungle, and they are going to be walking eventually under a ward right there. They are going to be stunning up this Lycan, as Fex is going to take a lot of damage. Will he be able to get out of this? And it looks like Troll ult is going to be popped, so Lina is going to get the kill on that. So really, really big kill on the Lycan. Down middle, the Dire heroes are smoked up, and they are rotating in to this Radiant jungle. Are they going to find Pain? in these Ancients, and it looks like he will end up taking a lot of damage. Viper Strike coming out, and he is just very, very dead, as Viper's able to pick off another kill to his name. So he's only 2-0. Not a huge game impact at that point, but man, he's going to get really, really scary as he starts doing more and more damage in these fights. Wop is being left on his own to farm up this siege camp, and he does have a Bloodstone with 8 charges, which is pretty good, as well as an Ogre Club, which will either end up being an Aghanims or a BKB, and I don't think there's a bad choice among the two. They're both going to really help him out with his sustain and his ability to participate in these big pick-offs and team fights that are coming out. He's still with no real item progress. Does have a Sage's Mask, so looking to... I mean, there's a lot of things that could build into, but I just don't know if that's enough progress at this point in the game for her to do anything productive. Rapido does not have any new items either. I would suggest him going for an Aghanims, which I think is just such a really powerful item on Lion, as it does just get better and better as you get more and more heroes in that AoE. And it looks like Lycan's going to be hitting on this Roshan pretty good. He does have his wolves taking most of the damage. He's breaking that spirit of the Roshan with his Medallion of Courage, which is going to help out a lot. Solar Crest is doing its work as well. He did build that medallion into the Solar Crest. And he's going to be taking down this Roche uncontested, as the Radiant have no way to really get into the pit and do anything against it. So Lycan is once again sitting with an Aegis, sitting with 2 lives, and that's really, really scary for the Radiant to fight against. I don't know what to do if I were them. Do they sit in their base and turtle, or do they roam and look for pickoffs? Do they try to split push? I mean, either way, there's going to be weaknesses with their draft. They really don't have a lot of high ground defense. I would have almost liked to see maybe something more like a Tide Hunter instead of that Sand King, with a lot of AoE damage and a little more tankability. They're going to smoke up, Zona Gaming are going to smoke up, popping Necro units and Wolves, making sure that they're going to catch out a bunch of these Radiant heroes. I think this might be one very dead Radiant. Stand in Pain is going to get stunned up and hexed up, and he's going to get his mana drained. Really nice scream from the Queen of Pain. Is going to connect onto only Pain, but is going to do a lot of damage, and he is going to go down to the Queen of Pain's right click. So Troll and Vengeful Spirit being picked off in that fight, and I think now Zona can take this tower and may end up taking high ground off of this, as the Radiant really aren't in a position to defend. EGX is having a really tough time. It looks like Wop is going to be just getting up a little bit close, but deciding, you know, maybe that's not a good idea. You know, he can easily get picked. Lion has a Blink Dagger. He's able to Blink Hex, Blink Stun. You really don't want to go in close to this guy, because he can definitely make you pay. And Fex is just going to be doing a lot of damage at this point. He's hitting for, you know, almost 200 per hit, which at its base damage is a lot. And he's going to be able to pick up a big item sometime soon. He does have 1,300 surplus on top of buyback if you'd like to save for that. And it looks like just all over the map, with the only exception being the bot lane, Dire are just really suffocating this Radiant lineup. Cookies does have a TP and a Shadow Plate in case anything goes sour. She is really, really far out without any vision or without any real knowledge of where all of the Dire team are. Queen of Pain is going to be back at base, but all the rest of the Dire heroes are going to be mid, and they're going to take down this tower. So really nice job on the Dire, just getting what they need to do early in the game, and I don't think they're going to fall off late game. I think they're just going to continue to get big and nasty and able to zone out EGX off of their own territory. And yeah, I think the Lycan's just going to keep getting bigger. The Viper's just going to keep getting bigger. The Undying is just going to keep getting more and more items that are going to help him out later in the game. And I mean, how much can they depend on one Troll and one Timbersaw to keep everyone back? Vex is going to be pushing down mid lane. Does now have a Hyperstone in his inventory, possibly going for an Assault Cuirass or a Moon Shard, just to give himself that much more attack speed and a little bit of damage. He does now need to use his Aegis pretty soon, as it's going to be reclaimed in about 2 minutes. So he has to make sure to either take a fight or be in a safe place when that wears off. Up top, Viper's going to easily clean up the creeps coming into him. He does now have a Reaver, so he might be going in for a Heart to get that really good extra tank ability, and I think that's a smart idea. I would definitely concur with that. He does have the Vitality booster as well, so that's definitely what that's going to turn into. All aside from Viper, Dire team are going to cluster up in this mid lane, looking to maybe push high ground on top of this. I mean, Lycan's big enough, and Lycan has an Aegis that's going to go down soon to get this push done, and they need to do it soon if they're going to do it. Looks like there will be about only 40 seconds or so left on the Aegis. Wop is really in a not secure place, as he's going to run into Zero-kun. Is going to take a Viper Strike right to the face, and it's going to have to TP out, but it will get stunned up by the Lion. Really, really beautiful Earth Spike by Rapido, canceling the TP at the very last moment. So really, really well played. Getting Viper another kill. Down mid, there is a Yules onto the Troll, but it looks like Troll's going to end up taking a stun anyway, and Queen of Pain's going to pop her ultimate for that, and will get him with one right click immediately after. Ult being channeled by the Sand King is going to do a good amount of damage to Fex, but the mechanism might be enough to keep him alive. He will end up going down, but his Aegis was just barely there. I'm surprised that was still in his inventory, and it looks like he will be able to easily clean up Pain on the back lines of that. And there's the GG. Really, really well played by Zona Gaming. Just really able to keep the Radiant back and keep EGX from getting what they need to get. So, well played by all. All the supports did exactly what they need to do, and the carries got big. Special shout out to Lycan that got his items early and did really well with that. Taking 2 Roches at 30 minutes in the game is definitely what put them ahead. So overall, just really well played. EGX played well, but I think Zona just played a little bit more aggressively, and they were able to really just zone back the Radiant. And when you have a Troll that can't farm, a Lina that can't farm, a Timbersaw that can't even get into a lane, it's going to be a really hard time defending your base, and I think that's what happened there. So overall, really fun game to cast. I wish both these teams the best in their second game, and this has been the Sudamerican Master 2. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Annie, aka Android, and I'll see you later.